Want to be tan and Asians want to be white as snow. If you hate yourself for anything, don't. It's because there's someone out there who wants to look like you. Yes, you. Don't believe me? Let me show you how beauty standards are so opposite at different types of the world that you'll be baffled. This video will be more women centric because I'm a woman and I'm more into women's fashion, but I'll mention men where it's needed. We'll dive deep down on how women's fashion evolved and changed during the course of history. Let's start with the West, which is this part of the world, mostly where more white people reside. Here, the lack of sunlight and melanin gave them snow white skin and blonde hair with blue eyes. For years, white people loved their skin color and had a superiority complex over other races because of their skin color. But everything changed once Coco Chanel went vacation to the French Riviera and got sunburned. And suddenly, every white woman wanted to get a tan. Now, you would ask, why would the whites want to be tan? Didn't they think white skin was a symbol of privilege and a life of leisure? Well, yeah, they did, but it changed after the working class moved from fields to the factories. Because factories don't get any sunlight, and also the working class couldn't afford to go anywhere else instead of factories and their dark alleyed homes. Hence, going outside now became a privilege. By going out, I mean going to exotic places like Hawaii. Hence, getting tanned now showed that you had the bag. Therefore, the middle class women started to copy this by wearing stockings to give an illusion of tanning because they couldn't really afford an international trip or getting tanned. After the world wars ended around 1980s, sunbeds and bronzing creams started being really popular. Film and media further pushed this trend through television, movies, and magazines. And further in the 21st century, people like the Kardashians and Kims made it even more popular among millennials and Gen Z. Obsession over tan skin got so popular that to even this day, people use the bronzer creams to get the tan look, and getting tan is still looked as you have the money to go outside. Outside, as in to a good vacation in the eyes of white people. And after the skin color, we go towards the facial standards. There are symmetrical face, upturned nose, and fuller lips. Fuller lips weren't actually something people in the West desired historically because mostly black people were associated with those features. But in the 2000s, suddenly fuller lips became a trend. According to my research, it was Angelina Jolie who started to stand out because of her fuller lips. Later, of course, the Kims and Kardashians made these features more popular, and now all the white girlies want the big beast tongue lips. The blacks and South Asians were ridiculed for having these features, having tan skin, having fuller lips, having thick eyebrows. They were bullied back then. But now it has become really big in the West. If we talk about the body standards, we all know how much the hourglass figure is loved among the West people. They like their women thick, both up and down, but not in the middle. That has to be thin. Nowadays, they use Ozempic or quickly losing the weight and getting implants to achieve that hourglass bodies, where women using hip pads and corsets to look thicker in these parts was their way to achieve the similar results in the past. But do you know there was also a time when fat was considered pretty? Well, you're shocked, right? But it comes down to being privileged again. This was actually common in all the cultures at some time in the history because being fat showed that this person had enough money to sit at home and didn't have to do any hard labor. Hence, being fat meant attractive financially at that time. The West's ever changing beauty standards make it so hard to follow. They want this too and that as well, which gives their own youth an identity crisis. Now, the easternmost part of the world is this one. East Asians are mostly known for their high cheekbones, dark brown eyes, narrow or slightly sloped eyes with a possible epicanthic fold, which is this, if you don't know what it is. Straight black hair, a flat nasal root, again the pictures, and a medium to narrow nose. Well, East Asians have their own beauty standards which are hard for most of their women to fit in, like Have you ever seen those crazy shops with the teeny tiny clothes? You might think, oh, it's just now that they are so obsessed with white skin. No, it was from the very beginning. Even before any foreign intervention happened, it was so extreme that they would use white powder to look paler. It was literally in the Japanese culture. I might be wrong for any reason. It might be a cultural thing, it might not be something like for the beauty, but it was something women used to do at that time. It's the same reason why most nobility had white skin because they stayed indoors and others stayed outdoors, so they were brown or yellow. The East Asians used to respect their features a lot before. The thin monolid eyes were seen as respectful. In contrast to now, with the help of plastic surgery, East Asian get those big eyes with double lids. And those who don't have that much money to spend, they take aid of makeup. Some of these doing makeup eyes haunt me in my sleep. The white skin trend is still very much alive in East Asia. Korean, Chinese, and Japanese, and in many parts of the East, people whiten their well tanned skin with whitening creams and skin treatments. Eastern media also plays a really big role in this. Asian celebrities set really high standards. This doesn't mean they are doing it intentionally. These are the same celebrities who are bashed for showing even a little bit of their real skin. Sometimes it's so extreme you could see miles of difference between skin tones on their faces versus their neck. The skin needs to be glass, it should reflect light or maybe used as one. Some idols are, of course, naturally pale like these, but most aren't. And that's why these companies force them to do these practices to make them look whiter, to make them look like a tube light. If you think you're too thin by Western standards, don't worry because in Asia, malnutrition is celebrated. Yay! Where being stick skinny is the main point. I've heard of such shocking diet these idols use. Like, have you heard of the IU diet? Sheets ice cubes. Again, it's mostly the pressure of the fans that make them go through such extremes. Cause like even a little bit of fat is like, oh my god, that's a crime. Roundness on the back or the chest isn't that of a compulsion unless you have the girls' generation legs. You are good to go, girl. You are the next K pop star. I think Eastern beauty standards are something which stayed similar to their past cultural standards instead of the eyes part. Oh my god. I've actually noticed that this fat lips trend is also entering in the East. Before, thin and small lips were seen as attractive. In Japan, they drew tiny lips and made them look intentionally small because that was supposed to be attractive at that time. But with current trends, I think it is more on the plumper side than being on the bee stung lip side. China is so similar in terms of their past and present beauty standards. They still value same views as of their history in China. Even men couldn't escape these beauty standards as the noble men of ancient China also engaged in makeup and beauty. And I think even today men of the East Asia can't dodge the bullet of beauty standards. Like literally in this drama recently these Chinese netizens were saying that he looks ugly. Like, huh? Is the ugly in the room, girl? It's not as harsh as it is for women, but they do struggle a lot as well. Now, it's the turn for the middle of the world, which has a good mix of toxic beauty standards of both the sides. South Asia is known for their versatility in features and color, but most of us are known to be brown or dusky, with big almond eyes, with double eyelids, black hair, and a very average build. That's the recipe for your favorite Indian. I wouldn't say favorite as of how people are treating us nowadays, but whatever. If we go into the past, the dusky skin of South Asians was celebrated in the community. As I am an Indian myself, in my country, even the gods were dark and were called beautiful in the texts and scriptures. But the current obsession with the white skin is something that pains me. Well, we are not as obsessed as East Asians to get surgeries, but of course, if we get the whitening creams, we would use the shit out of them. People to this day use fair and lovely in order to get whiter skin because it's ingrained in our brains that whiter skin is superior. This was mostly the result of colonization, where clearly the glorification of white skin and its connection with privilege still lives in people's minds. The middle part of the world has got both the extremes of beauty standards. We want whiter skin but also fuller lips. We want to be skinny but also not too skinny, because then it means your family doesn't feed you. You can never win here because you could be too fair, too dark, too short, too tall, too thin, or too fat. It's never perfect for them because we are not even sure what we want. I think our beauty standards are more similar to the West, but the obsession with the white skin and high expectations mirrors of the East. A good mix of toxic beauty standards. But I think men usually don't really face much of the struggle of beauty standards here because of male privilege, of course. Oh, but oh boy, if he's a good amount of white, not even that white, like a good golden skin, yep, he's on the radar of every auntie in the colony. Recently, height is also something South Asians are obsessing over. The average height for men is 5'5" and women is just 5. But now that's not enough as well. Before, men were mostly the ones who went through the height standards, but now even women need to be at least 5'3" or above to be desirable. In India's case, I know Northeast Indians are totally opposite of South Asian standards, and that's the biggest reason they struggle with bullying and identity crisis in their own country. Beauty standards are always messy. In this time of age where Westerners want to be Easterns and Easterns trying to be Westerners, you can never predict what will be the new standard of beauty. Who knows? Your next insecurity can be the next big thing, like freckles, dark skin, thick lips, thick eyebrows, big nose, and whatnot. So don't hate yourself or try to be someone else because you are already pretty enough, okay? So I'll be signing off for today. Be happy, stay safe, goodbye.